Welcome to Get the Balance Right, a podcast for creative entrepreneurs who challenge the status quo. I'm your host, Heather Zeitzwolf, and I'm on a mission to help and inspire visionaries to grow their firms with a keen focus on their triple bottom line. Join me for conversations with purpose-driven leaders, business disruptors, CEOs, and renegades in digital media, marketing, advertising, and design. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Get the Balance Right podcast. I am your host, Heather Zeitzwolf. Today we are joined by Katie Brinkley. Her company is called Next Step Social Communications. She helps her clients grow their revenues by tapping into social media and digital marketing. Her expertise include email marketing, LinkedIn lead generations, branding, and social media management. If you're more of a DIYer, she has a coaching program for that as well. She's a lifelong native of Denver, and although many of her clients are based there, she serves business owners all over the place. On today's show, the topic is the 3 biggest mistakes small businesses make on social media and how to avoid them. We get down to some nitty-gritty. And let me tell you, I think of myself as a tech-savvy person, but there's something about Instagram's functionality that just boggles my mind. If you are like me and have burning questions about that app, but we're always afraid to ask, well, I ask the tough questions. This episode is probably for you because you're going to finally get some of those answers. Even if you are a social media expert, you'll want to listen because Katie dives deep and delivers some really golden nuggets. So lately on the podcast, we've been talking about my core values for the show and for my business. The guests are asked if the values resonate with them. And, well, spoiler alert, I only pick out people that are going to resonate with my core values. Katie's answers tie back to the topic and demonstrate the power of social media and how we can use it professionally to make lasting, meaningful connections. All right, here's my interview with Katie Brinkley. Katie Brinkley, welcome to Get the Balance Right podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
I am so excited to join you.
For the people in the audience that don't know you, can you just tell a little bit about yourself and the services that you provide?
I am a social media strategist, which people might say, what the heck is that? What I do is I look at the overall strategy behind your social media efforts and try to find the best way for you to post strategically so that you can find new customers, new clients, new leads, and better engagement across your social media.
Wow. You are located in the Denver area. Do you mostly work with people in Colorado or in Denver? Or what is your clientele based at?
Everywhere. That is the power of being in an online space. I have clients, a number of clients in California. Actually, that's like my second biggest client base is in California and then also in Colorado. I offer the done for you social media where I go in and I actually create the content, create the ads, create the posts for you on social media. And then I also offer one-on-one coaching. Again, the power of Zoom, something that we've been able to see happen here in 2020. So it's been great because I can do Zoom calls, one-on-one coaching calls with people from just about anywhere, but majority of my coaching clients are actually right here in Denver.
When you coach them, is this so that they can do it themselves, marketing type thing? What exactly are you coaching on? Yeah,
it's actually something that during the pandemic back in March, I was still networking, doing a lot of networking on LinkedIn, and people were responding like, gosh, now that I've been given the gift of time, I would really love to just learn how to do social media the right way. That's one of the things that I teach them is how to set up all their accounts for their business correctly, how to optimize their bio for SEO, how to install pixels, how to read their insights. So learn from your audience. When are they online the most? What posts have done the best? What is your demographic? Is it men in their 40s or is it women in their 25 to 35-year-old range? What social media channels work best for you? That is one of the things I see a lot of businesses make is they try and be on every single social media channel known to mankind instead of going to exactly where their audience is. I teach them how to look at all that, craft engaging posts, learn how to do basic graphic design, and just kind of everything that I know how to do, I teach them.
Do you have a special niche that you work with?
I work with small businesses and entrepreneurs. That's not really a niche, but that's who I coach. And then as far as done for you social media, I specialize in the home industry, realtors, home builders, contractors, home organizers. That's who I offer the done for you social media services for. But anyone that's willing to learn how to do social media the right way, I can teach you the best practices on how to see better results. Bring the social back to your social media.
You have a really interesting background. You've worked in, is it TV that you've worked in, or was that radio?
I worked in radio and TV. I went to school. I wanted to be the next Erin Andrews. I wanted to be a play-by-play reporter for football. And that's what I went to school for, was sports journalism. And I actually got a job straight out of college at the local sports radio station doing the post-game reports. And I loved it. But in order to try and get more airtime, I needed to go to a smaller market. So as I was trying to look for going to a smaller market, I took a weird detour and was a flight attendant for a bit and then got out of it, got back into the marketing space and was doing social media for a local television station that broadcasts the Colorado Rockies, Utah Jazz, Vegas Golden Knights games.
Were you primarily a writer or were you ever on camera?
Never on camera. My voice was on air at the radio side. As far as like at the TV station, I was the one writing the scripts, doing the media buys and writing the social media. I stepped behind the scenes after I got out from the radio station.
You were a flight attendant. I saw in your LinkedIn bio that you worked for Frontier Airlines, which was one of my favorite airlines because early on they had where you could watch videos. They had a screen on every chair. I just remember it was like, ooh, I get a screen.
That was back when I was there, back when they had the talking animal commercials. Actually, when I was there, they also offered like free full cans of pop, and we served like pizza sticks on our long flights and like bagels. It was a completely different animal back then than it is now. And when the second bankruptcy and buyout happened, that is when I got out and decided to get back into focusing on the social media marketing and sports sides of things.
You must have seen some really trippy things being an airline attendant. Do you want to share just at least just one little story?
I've seen a lot of things, but it did give me the opportunity to realize people come from all different walks of life. Some people have never been on an airplane before. It's like, so things that might seem super duper basic are completely new to them. I remember one time I was flying from somewhere to Kansas City, and I was walking back through like after doing the safety demonstration, and a woman stopped me. She goes, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's, "Okay, so I watched your safety demonstration and I'm looking at the safety card here, but I don't see anywhere on here where it says where you guys keep the parachutes." And I was like, "Don't worry, ma'am. We will actually land in Kansas City. We're not just going to throw you out the door." But for her, like having a parachute, knowing where the parachutes are on an airplane is something super important to top of mind for her, because if something were to go wrong in the air, you got to jump out. But obviously commercial airplanes are not made for jumping out of. And so no parachutes aboard Frontier Airlines.
That's good to know. I would have thought maybe it was under the seat.
Nope, that's just your flotation device.
Oh, okay. It's not like a Swiss Army knife. It doesn't do everything.
No.
You've also worked with one of my favorite vegan chefs. You've worked with Colleen Patrick
Goudreau.
Thank you.
Colleen, I actually helped her a couple years ago get her social media up and running. And back pre-pandemic, she had events that she would have some of her community come and they would cook really good vegan food and just celebrate her menu that she has created for vegans and just teach about zero waste and everything. And she'd have this whole retreat. And that was my job, was creating her ad campaign and creating an overall strategy behind her social media posts for this event.
She's definitely one of my very favorites. Her cookbooks are always so beautiful, and I've followed her on social media. Okay, so you had a little hand in some of that.
Exactly. She's an awesome person. She also has a podcast too, that if you're ever interested in listening to another podcast.
Hey there, this is Heather. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And if you are, if you wouldn't mind, please hit the subscribe button now. That way you'll never miss an episode. All right, now back to the podcast. Yeah, let's move on to the topic for today. We're going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes small businesses, probably small business owners, make on social media and how they can avoid them.
And it's regardless of the industry. These are definitely some great tips that you can keep in your back pocket and maybe look at your own social media channels and be like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. Or oh, okay, good. I'm good there.
We're going to go into number 1, but I'm just going to preface. So when we're talking about social media, we're talking about Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. It could be any of these platforms.
Exactly. Yeah. And you just said it right there. Like you just named off, I think like 4 of them. And there's so many social media channels out there that I think that a lot of business owners think that they need to be on all of them. That's my mistake. Number 1 is trying to be on too many or the wrong social media channels. Being a small business or anybody in business, you don't need to be on every single social media channel known to mankind. This is where it's really helpful for you to look at who your audience is, who is your demographic, and then go to them on that social media channel and do it the right way. Go in there and have posts crafted specifically for that audience. I see so many small businesses just trying to be on every social media channel known to mankind. If you think about Instagram, there's 5 different ways that you can post on Instagram. There's the grid, there's stories, there's reels, there's IGTV, and there's Instagram Live. So that's 5 different ways that you can post on Instagram. And if you want to be good at social media, I mean, that you should try to figure out some way to do a post in all 5 of those different types of Instagram neighborhoods. Don't try and be the master of all, because then you are the master of none. And it's extremely evident for your audience when they see your post that you're just trying to throw something out there.
I've heard that it's not wise to take the same exact post that you're going to put on maybe Facebook and put it on Instagram and then put it on LinkedIn. And I got to tell you, it's exhausting having to come up with something completely new, but I realize it's a different audience.
You hit the nail right on the head. You hit the nail right on the head there.
Okay. I guess what I'm confused about is if you're trying to reach a certain niche, I guess your niche might be slightly different if they're on LinkedIn versus the niche that might be on Instagram.
Exactly. Yes. I'm so glad you said that, because you heard correctly. And that is one of the things I try to teach my coaching clients is, okay, let's say you have a blog post that you want to put out and you've decided that after looking at your insights, your 3 platforms that you're going to spend time on for your business are Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Okay. So let's say you have a blog post that you want to push out. In the blog post on LinkedIn, it's going to have a different caption. It's going to have more of an academic tone. It's going to be more straight to the point and talk about numbers. It's going to be very business tone on how you're going to push this blog out there. Have 3 hashtags in it that are relevant directly to that industry or to the blog, and you're going to push it out that way. Now on Instagram, depending on who your audience is, let's say that you have a lot of females, again, I said 25 to 35 on there, you're going to find a different aspect of this same blog post that's going to resonate with that audience and craft a message specifically for that audience. Use 30 hashtags and then find an image that's going to look fantastic in your grid. Again, you have to think of your Instagram grid as your gallery. This is your best of the best. So if someone new happens to stumble across you via a hashtag or through a story or something on Instagram, and they come to your page, they can see instantly what it is that you're all about, what it is that you have to offer, what it is that you sell. That is how you're going to post on Instagram. Again, like you said, you're still using the blog post for 2 different posts, but you're crafting the message for the audience of the platform.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot of stuff in there that I want to unpack. So you had mentioned on LinkedIn 3 hashtags. I think you said Instagram 30 hashtags. I know that there's some kind of algorithm in LinkedIn where they don't like you to have too many hashtags or something. Is that a correct assumption?
It is correct. Man, you've heard a lot of good things here, Heather. So 3 hashtags is it for LinkedIn. And don't use more. 3 hashtags in at the bottom of your caption. Let's say, so for me, like most of my blog posts are on social media, believe it or not. At the bottom of them, I might have like hashtag small business tips, hashtag social media tips, hashtag, and they'll say the blog was on LinkedIn strategy. Hashtag LinkedIn strategy. That's where you choose like maybe 2 regarding your industry and like the people that you want to see this post. Again, let's say I was writing a blog post that I really wanted realtors to see because I thought that the information in this social media blog was helpful for realtors. You could do hashtag real estate tips or hashtag Denver realtor. That way, the people that are in your niche that you want to see your post, that's who, if they're typing it in the keyword search, it's going to show up.
Do people really search by hashtags?
They do search by hashtags.
That sounded probably like an idiotic question, but I never even think to search by hashtags. Some of these hashtags have like millions of posts. So do you recommend using a hashtag that has less posts associated with it? So maybe that yours will rise to the top?
Yep. And that's why the 30 hashtag thing on Instagram makes sense. So having the big hashtag strategy of, okay, these are all the people that I want in what I want to talk about. So hashtag again, social media tip, hashtag social media for real. So I have my big pool of 15 hashtags that have millions of hashtags in that pool. But from there, I take maybe the next 10 hashtags and choose from a smaller pool, more specific, more niche. And you can do Denver realtor, Denver real estate, social media. I mean, like stuff that's super focused. So that way you're talking specifically for that niche. And you will rise to the top. And then you have 5 hashtags that I kind of like to consider your branded hashtags that are so niche that it might only be you and like 1,000 other people that have used this hashtag before. But that way, when someone ever does check out that hashtag, you're going to be seen in it.
Do you recommend creating your own hashtags?
Yep. For my business, I have hashtag Next Step Social Communications, hashtag Katie Brinkley. Those are 2 that I include in every single one of my posts.
Okay. All right. So now let's go back to what you said about Instagram. Instagram is one of those things that it's like, I don't know what's going on. It's this nebulous thing. And I use Later, that software, to post to Instagram because I don't even really know what's going on there. So you were saying that there are many different ways to post on Instagram. I'm not even sure I can do that through Later or not, but if you're going to go all in on Instagram, so it sounds like you really want to be posting on all these different types of, what would you call them? Like platforms within Instagram?
I call them neighborhoods just because it makes it a little bit easier.
If somebody wanted to say, post to their story, would you also say, okay, if you're going to post your story, then you should also do a live post as well?
This actually brings me into my mistake number 2. So I do see that a lot of small businesses will just try to post on too many social media platforms, or let's say that, like you said, they decide to go all in on Instagram, but then they get overwhelmed and then they post for 7 days straight for an entire month, and it gets exhausting. And this is where I think that going back and looking at your insights and just putting out like 3-4 quality posts a week is all you need to do. And you can go and visit the different neighborhoods. So let's say on Wednesdays, your audience is online around 10 a.m. and it typically is a really good day for engagement for you. Let's say you try posting an IGTV or doing an Instagram live every Wednesday, and you have that part of your posting strategy. And then on Tuesday before, you can visit Instagram stories and say, hey guys, I want to let you know that tomorrow I'm going to be going live here on Instagram to discuss the 3 biggest mistakes that small businesses make on social media. Be sure to tune in. And then before you go live, go again in story, say, hey, about to go live. Don't forget to visit my bio. I'm going to be going live to talk about these mistakes. And then afterwards on Thursday, you again can visit stories and say, did you have a chance to check out my live yesterday? You can link from your Instagram live into stories so that people can directly go from stories to watch your video. And then again, last day of the post, like on Friday or something, if you want to, you could just have a picture and say, I went live and I discussed this, and have that be your graphic. I just said 5 ways that you could post on Instagram within a week. And it was really all around one piece of content.
Yeah, but you have to know how to do that.
And that's one of the things that I teach. But like at the same time, it's not that overwhelming. It sounds super overwhelming from the way that I just said it, but it's really not. Like you said, you use Later. Having a content calendar to set out your strategy is going to make a world of difference, because then again, like I said, on Tuesday, you can have your calendar reminder where all you got to do, when you go into stories, it doesn't need to be like you're tuning into CBS 4 or anything. Like it doesn't need to be super duper professional. People are used to seeing the people that they follow show up authentically in stories. And that's where if you just get used to showing up a couple times a week, talking to your audience, they're expecting to see you and seeing what you have to offer them. How are you giving them value this week? This is what I think is mostly what I coach, is just how to show up authentically through your social media. And that's really how you're going to gain the followers and the clients and the leads.
It sounds like people have to be very comfortable on camera constantly.
No, like stories are only 15 seconds long. You don't need to be on there doing 10 minutes worth of on-camera air. What we're doing right here, this could be an IG live, an Instagram live segment where we also are recording your podcast, but we're also live streaming onto Instagram. People can come and go as they please. And then afterwards, all you have to do is just hold your camera and be like, hey guys, thanks again for tuning in. If you missed it, be sure to check the replay by clicking here. It's just a way that you can show up and give your audience a chance to know, like, and trust you because they feel like you are a friend.
Wow, I didn't even know you could do that. I'm telling you, Instagram is one of those things I don't really get it. But I mean, I think I get it, but I would say that I'm technologically savvy. People send me things and I'm like, how did they do that with those little sparkly moving things and all of that? If you're doing most of your stuff in Instagram, this is going to be like an idiotic question, but when you're doing stuff in Instagram, for the most part, you have to do it on your phone, right?
No, there are a number of software tools out there now. I know StreamYard is one where you can broadcast like through Zoom or through your computer onto these other platforms. So you can, let's say you want to go live on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, you do have to submit a request to go live through their platform. But if that's what you want to do, then you have third-party software. A lot of the stuff on Instagram, though, is mobile only, but you can create graphics very easily. Like you said, you use Later, create the graphic in something simple like Canva, upload it to Later, and then it'll automatically post for you. And you can do that with video too.
That's very cool. Hey, entrepreneur, are you stressing out over your cash flow? Are you always confused by your bank balance? Well, you know what? You're not alone. Lots of business owners struggle with this, but you don't have to. I'm Heather Zeitzwolf. Besides being a podcast host, I'm also a CPA. I can help you get your cash flow under control so that it's predictable and so you're profitable. Learn how by setting up a discovery call with me now. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes. All right, now back to the show. So we've covered 1 and 2. So let's just go back. Number one was being on too many social media platforms, not knowing which social media platform to be on and trying to be the master of all the social media. But really, by doing that, you're ending up being the master of none. Okay. And then number 2, how would you define number 2 again?
Lack of strategy and consistency. That's one of the things I see a lot of small businesses do is that they're like, okay, I need to be on social media. So they think that they need to be on it every day. They get overwhelmed and I haven't posted anything on social media. I'm going to post a picture of my dog. And really, like, how in the big picture is the picture of your dog going to resonate with your potential clients, potential customers? And it's great that you have a dog, but how can you bring that picture back into what you have to offer to them? Trying to pick out the best times to post and having a strategy behind those posts, that's everything.
Then what is number 3?
Number 3 is my favorite. It's not actually being social on social media. The way I think of it is if you go to a dinner party back pre-COVID times, but let's say you're at a dinner party and your best friend's brother's sister-in-law is there, and she comes up to you and just starts talking to you and won't stop talking about herself. And she's just talking about what she sells and how she's so successful at what she does. And this is what she sells. This is what she sells. This is what she sells. And then they just turn around and walk away. They don't actually answer. I say, hey, so tell me, what is it that you do, Heather? Tell me a little bit more about you. They just talk about themselves the whole time and then turn and leave the party. And that's what I see a lot of businesses doing is they just talk about what they have to sell. Let's say you have already bought from this business and you follow their page, but then all they're doing is still talking about what they have to sell. You're not in the market to buy another, we'll just say house, because that's a pretty big purchase. So let's say you are a home builder and you can't just constantly talk about the houses that you have for sale. It's great to provide them another reason for them to follow your page because you offer design tips. You offer event information for where the neighborhood is. Let's say you offer local business recommendations as to why you like this local business that's just around the corner from your new home development. Give people a reason to stick around and want to continue to follow your page. Ask questions. I see so many times where people will post something, businesses will post something, and then someone will go in and say, hey, yeah, I love this house. Where is it located? And no one's gone in for months to even answer their question. And that's a potential sale that they've lost. Go into your social media the same way that you would a conversation. Build a community around your social media account so that people will want to see what else you have to say. And like I said, they might not be in the market to buy something right now. The time does come for them to buy something, or a friend of theirs, it comes for them to buy something. They think of you first.
When they're trying to be more deliberate about being more social and post on these different platforms, do you feel like, okay, they need to have some sort of schedule? Should they do the 3 tips like every Thursday and then do the recommendations like every 5th, whatever it is? Like, should they have a cadence to this?
Yes. And that's exactly where having that content calendar is so critical because, again, you can be like, okay, the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, I'm going to share some sort of past client testimonial. And it's either going to be through a graphic, a picture, or like a video if we can get the client to sit down and give us a video testimonial. That's where now I know exactly what I'm going to be posting about on these days. I just have to go and fill in the blanks. I call it building the skeleton for your content calendar. You go through, build out the talking points and the topics that you want to discuss on the days that your audience is most engaged. And then you can go in and fill in the blanks.
It sounds like it's a lot. Very much worth it to hire someone like you to take care of it all.
It does sound overwhelming. And that is why some people decide to just hire me, which is great for me. But what I've really enjoyed doing is teaching people because what I try to do is teach you a way to approach social media strategically. You can sit down and have one day that you devote to building out. And then that way, in that one day, you've already built out your whole content for the month. And then all you have to do is show up and engage. So show up once a day and comment back to people who've commented on your post. Reach out and like other people's posts that follow you. It's called social media for a reason. You can't just expect to post something and walk away and expect all of the clients and followers to just be knocking down your door. You do have to be social on the platform and talk to other people.
These are all really, really good tips. Before we wrap up, we've been talking about our core values, and I know that you probably resonate with some of these for sure. One of our core values is be ethical, compassionate, and fair. Speak up for what you believe in. Make a positive impact on the world. How does that resonate with you?
I love it. I love your core values. They're fantastic. I always try and tell my daughters, I have two. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I always try to tell them, I'm like, okay, remember, try and always teach others with love and treat others with love and kindness. And that is one of my core values. But I think that when you go out there and even with social media, I said that you need to be social on the platform. When you do engage with other businesses and other people on your social media account as your social media account, it's helping them out too, because if you comment on a post, it's going to help them in the algorithm. So they're more likely to comment back on your post, which will help you in the algorithm. And like, it's one of those things where if you can help other business owners out and other entrepreneurs out with their social media and helping them increase what they're in the algorithm, doing simple things by just commenting on a post is so helpful.
Oh, I love that. One of our other ones is be passionate about learning. Information is power. Embrace data and technology to unlock and drive possibilities.
I love it. I am super passionate about learning and I'm very passionate about social media. It's interesting because I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups that are around social media and I've connected with some people in there where they have a question and I'll pop back in and answer their question for them. And they're like, so why on earth these type of answers? Why are you in this group? And I'm like, because there's going to be a day that there's a question that I need to have answered. And there's someone out there that knows it more than me. For example, this morning, like I actually had a call with somebody about building a podcast studio in one of the podcast groups that I'm in, because you can't see now, but I'm talking into a foam box. And so it'd be really nice to have an actual dedicated studio at my office here. And I don't know even the steps on how to do that. And so I just posted in a group like, hey, does anyone know how to do this? And someone responded right away and said, yeah, here, let's pick up the phone and have a discussion. And that's where, again, like if you're willing to share your knowledge with a stranger, it makes such a world of difference because we are all just trying to figure out how to best navigate this thing called life. And there's plenty of business out there for everyone. So if you're willing, if you have some knowledge on something, it does not hurt to share it with others.
I love that. One of our other ones is be authentic, be humble and thankful, make real human connections, own your mistakes and learn from them.
I think that it's going to surprise you, but I think that make real human connections is a great core value that it can even happen in social media. Obviously, I'm in social media, but some of my best friends I've never actually met in real life. It's been through LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram messaging. And we have just this friendship where we check in and then we'll have a glass of wine on Zoom together. And when you create these authentic relationships through social media, there's so many things that, like, I have a friend in Michigan and we we talk to each other every day. Just say, hey, so what are you working on today? How can I help you? And sometimes it's just a simple thing like, just sit down and do it, Katie. And I'm like, okay, yeah, she just said to sit down and do it. I mean, that human to human connection is still out there. And especially with what we've seen in 2020, you can still create those sort of relationships through social media.
I agree. I think this past year has been challenging, no doubt, but I have made some really interesting connections with people just because there was almost that excuse of we can't meet in person, so we have to meet on Zoom. And it opens up these barriers to meet people outside of your own network. It's just, if there's a positive side to COVID, that has been it for sure.
Absolutely. And like you said, like the power of Zoom has really allowed us all to, why just limit yourself to working with people in the Denver area? You can do it with anywhere. How can you make that work? And just trying to still have those human relations and human connections through social media is still very possible. And I think 2020 has shown us that it's very powerful.
All right, Katie, how can people work with you?
Yes, if you would like to get in touch with me, you can follow me. Obviously, I'm on all the social media channels. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I'm Next Step Social Communications, Instagram, next.step.social, and LinkedIn, I'm Katie Brinkley. And then if you want to, I actually do have a free video training right now that is available, and that is available at www.katiebrinkley.com.
We'll have all that information in the show notes. Great. Thank you, Katie. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a great discussion.
Hey, this is Heather. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you found value in the show, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a rating on iTunes or just simply tell a friend about it. And if you're interested in learning more about my profit advising and coaching, please set up a discovery call by using the link in the show notes. All right. Thanks so much and see you next time.